Welcome back to our series of webinars on how to use the Market Maker trading system. In this webinar, we're going to teach you a little bit more about how to set up your own dealing defaults. As you would have seen in previous webinars, when we bring up an order ticket, it is preloaded with certain parameters. For example, if we bring up the order ticket on the UK 100, you can see that it's preloaded with 5 CFD contracts and a 2-click dealing strategy. Well, let's say we trade this on a regular basis, but we're not quite ready for 5 CFD contracts. We're only willing to take out 1 CFD contract every time that we take out a trade with the UK 100. Well, we can easily go about setting up these customizable functions by simply right-clicking on the instrument and then bringing up the dealing defaults for individual. What this will do will bring up a box called the one-click dealing defaults for the CFD UK indices, and you'll notice underneath there we have one instrument being the UK 100, the current quantity and the number of clicks it takes to perform a trade. So if we want to change this to 1, all we need to do is simply highlight the blocks and then click on these down arrows down to a quantity of 1 CFD. And again on the clicks we can change that to 1. Once we're happy with those changes, simply click on apply, and each time that we bring up the order ticket from now on, it will be as 1 CFD contract and as a one-click dealing strategy. Alright, the other thing to note though is that you can also preset your limits and stop loss orders. So if I go up to my limit orders, I again can change that to 1, and I can also change the 2-click dealing strategy down to a 1-click dealing strategy. Repeat the process for my stop loss orders, and once I'm happy with these new parameters, simply click on apply changes and then close down this box. Click on save. Now I'll close this order ticket down and bring up a new one, and the new parameters will be set. So now you can see that we've got 1 CFD contract and a one-click dealing strategy. If I toggle through the types of instruments, you can see that the limit order is also a 1 CFD contract and a one-click dealing strategy, and the stop loss order is exactly the same. Okay, now you can set these dealing defaults, all the 3,500 different instruments offered through Market Maker, but we can also do it as a group rather than just each individual instrument. So let's show you how you can do that. All we need to do firstly is go to our single instruments panel in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Let's have a look at the CFD US indices. So if we go down to CFDs US, go into the CFD US indices, we now have 4 that we can trade. Let's say on each of these that we have the same parameters. Well, if we right click and bring up dealing defaults for individual, you can see that it comes up with each of these individually and we can change them selectively. The other option is to right click and do dealing defaults for the group. What that does is it brings up one box which just compiles all those US indices into one, and then we decide on the parameters that we want to set. So for example, if we want to set this quantity to 10 and we want it as a one-click dealing strategy, all we need to do now is apply the changes, close this box off, and each time we bring up any of these particular indices, they will always come up as 10 CFD contracts and a one-click dealing strategy. So if I click on order ticket, you'll notice on the right hand side in our workspace that the S&P 500 has come up as 10 CFD contracts and a one-click dealing strategy. Again, if I bring up the rush, right click, click on the order ticket, and it too has come up as a 10 CFD contract and a one-click dealing strategy. Well, I hope this has been of some use. If you've got any other questions with regards to Market Maker, please refer to the other webinars held within this education area. Thank you very much for listening.